Or also known as McCartney Green. We are getting about ready to read chapter 31 in book number 1, A Healing in Jesus' Name. Monday morning, Shelley came downstairs to find Eric sitting in the dining room scanning the headlines, the actual real newspaper spread across the giant table. No matter how late you go to bed, you always seem to beat me up in the morning. Is Ricky okay? Eric folded the paper and placed it aside and turned sideways in his chair. He's fine, thanks to you. You saved my son's life. And he saved mine, so we're even. Thank God for both of you, he said softly and motioned her forward to stand in front of him. She moved close and placed her hands on his shoulders. What time did you guys get in? He didn't answer. Eric? His eyes moved over her. He seemed to be looking at her clothes, and she made a face and stepped back to model. Oh, it's the outfit the publicity people had delivered. They want me to wear it at the photo shoot today. I think it's stupid. I know they want me to look younger, but this is ridiculous. She wore the brand name blue jean skirt and the brand name knit shirt. The skirt was short. The shirt was tight. The brand shoes completed the ensemble. I guess next they'll want me to put a big bow in my hair, she complained. She waited for a response, but there was none. Will you please say something? He only sighed. Babe, wearing that outfit or not is your choice. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. But what if I show up to the shoot without the outfit they want me to wear? Well, a couple things could come of that. They could find you something more appropriate to wear that would represent both parties better, or they can decide to cancel the shoot. Cancel? She grimaced. The question is, how important is it to you? Eric said. What, the shoot or not wanting to wear this outfit? Both. He waited patiently. I mean, I really wanted to do this shoot. Why? Oh, well, it pays a lot of money for one. Is your soul for sale? Well, no, of course not, but she stopped and sighed. No buts. Is there any other reason for doing the shoot? She shrugged. I think I'm under contract to do it. You are, but you know Alan Bearden. You know he cares for you. A quick call to him, and I'm sure he could remedy the situation. She nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do that. So what if I didn't have a Mr. Bearden to call? He shrugged. Well, then you'd have to make a choice. She frowned, and he laughed to lighten the mood. Sweetheart, I know that you're new to all this fame and celebrity stuff, and what I'm really trying to tell you is that being famous, making money, none of that is as important as staying true to yourself and to God. Let me make it easier. If they wanted you to do the shoot nude, would you? Her answer came fast. Well, absolutely not. You see, that choice is black and white. It's easy to see. But Satan doesn't work like that. He makes everything gray so that it's harder to see clearly what your path should be. He makes walking down his path look fine. No worries, no problems. He deceives you because the devil is a liar, and he's very good at deception. Well, then how do we know what God's path is for us? Eric smiled. You know, that's a beautiful question, sweetheart. We do two things. We develop a relationship with him through prayer and fasting and listening so that we can recognize his voice. And we do our best to follow his rules and keep his commandments and live as holy as we possibly can, because that puts us and keeps us in tune with his voice. Well, you've certainly set a good example of that, she said. He sighed heavily. Well, I'm trying. I'm human, but we have his grace. Shelley glanced at the large clock on the dining room wall. Oh, well, I guess I'd better make that phone call. By the way, where is Ricky? Out for the day. Hot date. Shelley frowned. Hot date? Bree just left last night. He certainly worked fast, she complained. Eric smiled. There was a nurse from the hospital last night, asked him to join a surfing party. I'm sure he'd rather be with Bree. He pulled her close and kissed her. I have no words to describe how much I love you, he groaned. What time do you have to be down at the studio for the photo shoot? Well, I'm supposed to be there at 9 o'clock. Oh, well, it's 8 now, and you might be a little late, so go get dressed. I'll call Bearden for you, and I'll drive fast. Listen, hon, I won't be able to pick you up. I have some business meetings thanks to your newfound fame, but I'll send a car for you. The studio is secure. No one will be allowed entrance. They have security, and they understand the situation. Well, are you worried that something else is going to happen? She asked. No, not really. James is in jail, but I don't want to take any chances. Like I said, the studio is secure and they're aware of the situation. Don't step outside until they tell you that the car is there. Did they give you a time they think you'll be finished? Yeah, they said I'd be done by 3. Well, 3 it is then. If you finish early, text me, but I'll have the driver there a little early anyway. She wrinkled her nose. When will you be back? I'm not sure. She frowned. Well, if I'm not awake when you get home, will you wake me? She asked. He slid his arms around her with pleasure. She ran upstairs to redress, and while he waited, Eric called Bearden first and then Justin to find out where things stood with James. Well, as we speak, he sits in jail. The judge was delayed. The court clerk will call me the minute James gets out. Good, Eric said. So I've arranged to have one of Jason's men here at the house by 3:30, just in case James is out by then, since you and I will be at the meeting. Yes, I know. Jason told me he assigned a couple of guys to stay with Shelley. He said he would do it himself, except he's working with police on Wang's attempted murder. We know James is involved in Wang's assault, and we're hoping to keep James in jail by linking him to it as quickly as possible. Along with last night's attempt on Ricky and Shelley, there should be enough. However, James has friends in high places. So we need to be ready, because James will probably get out sometime today, just like he was told. Just like he told you. If Wang would just open his eyes and speak to us, there would be no way they'd grant bail. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening. Eric looked up as Shelley came back downstairs. She'd replaced the short skirt with a knee-length, khaki-colored skirt, but kept the shirt and the shoes. It was a perfect compromise. He ended his call with Justin, satisfied that Shelley was safe for the time being. They left for the studio. Once there, he walked her in and kissed her goodbye. Smile pretty, he teased. New scene. Shelley discovered that a day of hair and makeup and being primed and photographed was not glamorous. It was tedious and long and tiring, so she was extremely glad when it was over. She decided she wasn't too keen on this celebrity thing. Sighing, she glanced out the window in the lobby of the studio and smiled up at the blazing afternoon sun. The warmth felt good on her face. Miss Adams, your limo is here. Shelley smiled. Thank you. She picked up her purse and headed out toward the black limo that was parked out front. The driver quickly jumped out to open her door for her. Miss Adams? He questioned. She smiled kindly at him. Yes. He held the door as she climbed in and closed it solidly behind her. She was startled to see a man sitting on the far side. And when he turned to face her, she went ghostly white. James. Immediately she reached for the door handle, but it wasn't there. He laughed as he lunged at her and grabbed her flailing arms. She struggled against him, but a knowing sense of loss told her that there was no way out of her situation. He had her. Where's Eric's driver? She demanded bravely. Why, Shelley? Are you worried about him? Well, don't be. It may take a day or two for him to be found, but he'll survive. And when he wakes up, he'll be a little woozy, maybe have a headache, but he'll be just fine. On the other hand, you should be very worried about your own predicament because you are in for quite a ride. The vehicle lurched as the driver took off, and James immediately grabbed Shelley by the hair, pushed her face down into her lap, and pulled both her arms behind her. At the familiar sound of duct tape ripping, she couldn't help it. Her tears started. Once her wrists were taped securely together, he jerked her back up, and she glared at him, consciously trying to keep the fear at bay. He yanked on her hair again, this time tilting her face up to him. No one's here to help you this time, and I will get what I want, she whimpered. He bent over, intending to kiss her mouth, but she bucked fiercely and tried to headbutt him. You little hellcat, he snarled, grabbing her face with both hands. He held her head still and kissed her brutally. She tried to bite his tongue, his lip, anything that may cause him pain, but she could only nip the edge of his lip because she couldn't get the right angle. Still, she bit as hard as she could. He jerked his mouth from hers, his eyes narrowed to slits. I ought to beat you to a pulp for that. So beat me, you stupid, giant, arrogant coward, she sobbed. It won't be the first time. He smiled. I have different plans today. His large fingers grabbed the edge of her shirt. No, she screamed, leaning forward to block him. She was surprised when he let her go. Look, woman, do you see this? There was something in his voice that made her stop struggling and sit up and look. He held a shiny knife. It resembled a scalpel, only it folded, and it looked like the one he'd used to cut her shirt open back before Christmas. Shelley began to tremble as he ran the knife slowly over her cheek to her throat, and then back to her face. A tear ran down one cheek. Please don't do this, she begged. Not so uppity anymore, huh? Eric, she whispered. Eric, he mocked. The knife came to her throat. I am so sick of hearing his name. Barely able to control his rage, he pressed his mouth to her cheek as he growled at her. Maybe I should just slit your throat right now. Shelley sat very still. She could feel his anger pulsing through her body and knew he was on the very edge. She swallowed hard, praying he would get control of himself, though she couldn't control the tears that ran down her face. No, Eric can't help you now, sweet Shelley. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. From this point on, you're not allowed to speak because I don't want to hear his name. Do you feel the knife on your throat? She blinked her eyes in response. I won't hurt you as long as you're still. Do you understand? She gave a slight nod. He tugged at her shirt and sobs welled up in her chest, though outwardly her screams were controlled as he commanded. Inside her head, they were deafening. She'd promised herself she would never let this happen again. She'd promised herself she'd fight, and yet here she sits, doing nothing. She couldn't control the crying. She felt his hands on her, trying to move her around, but in the close quarters, he wasn't able to get her into the position that he wanted. She could tell he wanted to get her shirt off, but her hands taped behind her back made it impossible. So he settled for pushing it up. His hand moved to her leg, and she squeezed her thighs together with all her strength. Instinctively, she bent over to block him, but straightened immediately as a knife blade bit into her neck. She sat up quickly. Hot tears ran down her face while James tried to assault her, but in the cumbrous space, and him still trying to hold the knife against her throat, he was unable to accomplish his goal. Frustrated, he grabbed her by the front of the shirt and shook her, and she winced, worrying about the knife cutting her throat. He pulled her toward him. What's the matter with you? He mocked. Don't you want to play? She shook her head slightly. What? I can't hear you. He pointed up to a small camera. Go ahead. I give you permission to speak. What do you want to say, Shelley? Speak up and smile for the camera. I've got it all recording. Now tell me, are you saying you're not having fun? That's really strange. Anne never complained. All those times she and I took those rides together, she never once complained. I guess she was a lot braver than you. Shelley closed her eyes because she didn't want to hear this. You know, Anne never told Eric about our little excursions. She worried about her precious husband's temper were he to find out. She thought he might come after me, worried that he'd get hurt. At least that's what she said. Deep down inside, though, she just wanted to come back to me. I know she did. And that's why he killed her. And soon, I'm going to kill him. But first, I'm going to take care of you. You're sick, Shelley cried, her anger giving her courage. Anne would never have come back to you. You don't think that she knew what kind of person you are? That you're a bully and a thug and filled with hate? That's why she left you. You don't think that she knew that you're nothing compared to Eric? She hadn't meant to say the words that she knew would rile him, but it just popped out. Anger flushed his face. He jerked her over, face down across his lap. She never found out what he was about to do because the knife was now gone from her throat, and she decided to take charge of her own destiny. She buried her teeth in his thigh, shuddering as she felt her teeth go deep into his flesh. She ground down harder, tasting his blood. He yelped and threw her across the entire length of the limousine, and she slammed against the window of the door and slumped down onto the seat. James lost all thought of what he'd originally intended. He jumped onto her, straddling her waist and grabbing her around the throat in a fit of rage, his face bright red, his fingers squeezing. her arms still taped behind her. She had only her legs to fight with, but they were ineffective since they were behind him. Desperately, she kicked and struggled. His thick hands squeezed her throat, cutting off blood and air. It seemed the seat where she lay became soft, like a giant marshmallow, and he was pushing her down, down, down through the material into the soft center of the marshmallow. It was swallowing her. She couldn't breathe. She desperately tried to suck air into her lungs. It was impossible, and she knew she was dying. Unable to feel her legs anymore, they fell limply. She thought of her children and how hard it would be for them to lose her at such a young age. She thought of Eric. Darkness closed around her. Suddenly, she remembered to do what Eric taught her. She remembered to do what she did in New Orleans. Pray. Dear God, will you help me? Seconds later, she heard a knocking sound, like someone knocking on the window, and then suddenly, just as she thought she'd succumb, there was a coolness around her neck as he released his grip. She sucked the life-giving air into her lungs. He jerked her up to sit and pushed her face down as he cut the tape from her arms. She gasped for air, trying to regain the use of her limbs, terrified of what was coming next, but he surprised her. Throwing her purse at her, he spoke gruffly. Fix yourself. She tried to clear her mind, looking up at him, questioning. Wipe your tears, fix your hair, he commanded. Apprehensively, she obeyed him. She straightened her clothing, took a compact out of her purse. He's going to let me live. She wiped away the tears and smoothed her hair back with trembling hands. He's going to let me go. Thank you, God. Thank you. The car stopped. Get out, he ordered. Get out and run, go tell your little boyfriend what happened. So I'll be waiting for him. As the car sped away, James slammed his fist against the door. She diverted him from his original goal. He hadn't intended to end her life today. He'd only wanted to have her, and he didn't even accomplish that. But that's okay, he told himself. There will be another time. And then he's going to make that mouthy female pay. New scene. Shelley stumbled out of the car, stood up straight, and watched as the car sped away. Eric's house loomed in front of her. Thank you, God, she whispered aloud this time. Shakily, she took a jagged breath, pulled her purse over her shoulder, and approached the security gate. She buzzed, and one of Jason's men answered. Ms. Adams, why didn't you have the driver bring you up to the house? I was looking forward to the walk. It's so lovely out, she lied. He buzzed her through and watched her on camera as she walked slowly up the long drive to the house. She thought as she walked, trying to work things out in her mind. She wouldn't run and tell Eric. She was fine. She was alive. If Anne could keep the secret, then so could she. She wouldn't do anything to put Eric in danger. She arrived at the door just as Ricky was coming out. Ricky, I thought you were gone for the day. I was, he grinned. I just came home to change clothes. She didn't respond. She only smiled slightly. Ricky frowned. Well, you don't look so good. Shelley shrugged. Oh, I'm okay. I'm feeling a little sick. Maybe it's the heat. I'll be fine after a nap. Are you sure you're all right? She forced a bright smile. I'm positive. Now go have fun. She walked slowly upstairs to her room and peered into the mirror over the dresser. The incident came flooding back. Gripping her stomach, she rushed to the bathroom and was violently ill. Ricky had decided to check on her one more time before he left and made his way back up to Shelley's room, and he found her kneeling in the bathroom. He pulled her hair back out of the way for her. You are sick, aren't you? He helped her up. I thought you had a hot date, she stated, swooning slightly. I do, but you looked so bad I thought I'd check on you, and it's a good thing I did. Let me help you. He left while she dressed for bed, and when he came back, he had a cup of hot tea with him. It won't put you to sleep. It's good for nausea, he explained. She sipped it and got into bed, and Ricky tucked her in. Are you sure you're all right, he asked. I'm fine, really. Please, go on your date. He kissed her cheek and left her. She watched out the window and waited until his car swung out of the gate, and then flew back into the bathroom, stripped off her gown, and stood under the hot shower. Trembling violently and crying, she scrubbed her body until she felt cleaner and calmer, and then exhausted, she fell back into bed. New scene. Later that evening, Ricky peeked in at her. She was curled up in a ball, sleeping. He crept over and placed a hand on her forehead. She startled. No, she cried. Shelley, it's just me. It's Ricky. She blinked several times. How are you feeling? I'm okay, I guess. What time is it? It's almost 7. You're home early. I was worried about you. I tried to call, but there was no answer. I was asleep. Yeah, that's what Jerry said when I called the security line, but I had to come home and see for myself. Do you need anything? Some toast? Some tea? No, I'm fine. Ricky was relieved when Eric came home an hour later. Dad, good, you're home. What is it? Eric asked. Shelley's sick. I came in late this afternoon to change clothes and she was puking her guts out. I made her some tea and helped her to bed before I went back out. And you're already back? Yeah, I couldn't stop worrying about Shelley all alone here and sick, so I cut it short and came home. You should have called me. That's just what I was thinking right before you came in. Well, thanks for taking care of her, Eric said as he ran up the stairs. He opened the door to find her curled up in the window box in one of the bay windows. She stared into the night. Hi, Shelley, he said softly. I hear you're not feeling well. She turned to look at him. A wave of emotion overcame her, and she fought to get herself under control. She wanted to run to him and cry on his shoulder and let him comfort her. Instead, she turned back to gaze out the window. Oh, I think it's just a virus. He moved forward and placed his hands on her shoulders. Well, if it's what I had last week, you need to be in bed. No, really, I'm much better already, she insisted. He leaned down and kissed her cheek, and she felt tears wet her eyes, so she dared not turn to him. Reaching back, she patted his hand. Eric's instincts told him all was not well. There's something else wrong. What is it, Shelley? Let me help you. She took a deep breath. Like I said, I think it's just a virus. I promise to sleep soon. Eric squeezed her shoulder. Okay, sweetie, I get the hint, but I'll be in my room if you need me for anything. She didn't answer. Slowly, he left the room, stopping in the doorway to look at her. She was ethereal, with her knees drawn up to her chest and her sweet face shining in the moonlight. Her long curls down her back and across her arms shimmered like a golden curtain. He felt uneasy. His senses told him something was wrong. The moonlight shining on her face reminded him of a night 11 years ago, the night Anne died. He stepped out, shut the door, and leaned against it, suppressing a shudder. His phone buzzed. Justin, what's up? Justin's voice was urgent. James got out today around 1 p.m. while we were in the meeting. The original clerk went home sick, and in the mix-up, we were overlooked. Well, thank God Shelley made it home okay. So what do you think? Are we going to be able to handle him within the confines of the law, or do I need to take matters into my own hands? Be patient, Eric. I do think we'll be able to put him away. If not forever, then for a very long time. Little brother Tommy, on the other hand, will not be getting out for at least 5 to 7. As it turns out, he broke parole. He was in previously for grand theft, aggravated assault, breaking and entering, and a few other minor charges. There was actually an APB out on him because a few days ago he roughed up an ex-girlfriend in a bar. Nice kid, huh? Yeah, great, Eric sighed. So now we're back to trying to find James before he finds Shelley. I grow weary of this game, Justin. I should have taken him out when I had the chance. There will be other chances, Justin comforted. Revelation 21, verse 8. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. And that is the end of chapter 31.